Thank you very much. It is always a delight to introduce a young cricketer who seems destined to bestride the international stage for years to come. It is even more pleasurable when the young man is affable and approachable, has his ego well in check, and is very much a listener, keen to learn about life as a cricket person on and off the ground. Mitchell Starc has already played 7 Test matches since his debut against New Zealand 13 months ago and has earned some very impressive notices. 3 times in Test matches and limited over internationals, he has taken 5 or more wickets in an innings. What's more, he has shown his mettle as a lower order batsman against South Africa in the Test arena and in Perth, and again in limited over matches with Sri Lanka in Brisbane and Hobart over the past 7 days. In fact, Jai Indraharity may even see him as an emerging all-rounder, but we might get to that. Mitchell has taken an interest in our work at the LBW Trust, and I'm delighted he is with us again tonight, just 24 hours before he leads the Australian attack in the T20 International with Sri Lanka at Homebush tomorrow night. Would you please welcome Mitchell Starc. I think we'll sit. I think we'll sit. Good to see you, and without being too provocative first up, will tonight's appearance sort of come into the sort of the wellness index? Will you have to enter it or anything? Or tweet it? What's happening?
Yeah, I'll put down what I had for dinner and all my drinks. No. No, I'll leave it be, just training today.
It's an interesting thing. I mean, is it just a question of terminology? There's been so much discussion in the press and elsewhere about sort of a changing philosophy in Australian cricket, about the wellness index, about rotation, about player management and one thing or other. Now, you're of a generation, you've got your birthday next week, so of a generation that, do you accept all of this comfortably? I mean, it's a very different world for those of us coming from a long way back.
Yeah, well, I think we, as a playing group at the moment, we're quite on board with it, and obviously there's a lot more cricket these days with 3 formats of the game, and you know, someone like myself, I'm lucky enough to play in all 3 formats for Australia. So for someone like myself, I'm definitely taking it on board, and you know, the people behind the numbers and the selections are all looking out for the player individually and also for the team. So I think that main one there is the team, and you're not really going to pick a player who's maybe 80% fit when you can pick someone who is 100% fit and do the same job. So I think it is about embracing that and knowing that the selectors are picking the best team they can at any given time.
You've made a very big decision in the last 24 hours not to play in the IPL this year. I mean, you've turned your back on a substantial sum of money. So how do you tell us the mechanism of that, the decision that has to be taken? I think of, say, Moses Henriques, who made the decision to go 2 or 3 years ago, and it's hard to know whether his career benefited as a consequence of that. Michael Clarke has resisted it until now that he's in a position perhaps where he can do it. I mean, how do you balance all the options before you?
Yeah, I did have a good think about it, and you know, hopefully down the track I get the chance to go and have that challenge of playing in the IPL. But at the moment, I think for my cricket, the best option for me was to have that time to refresh mentally and physically, and have a bit of time in the gym, a bit of time off, away from cricket, maybe a couple of weeks, and then hit the ground running for hopefully a tour of England.
Because it's a massive program ahead of you, isn't it? I mean, you've got, I mean, ignoring the IPL, I mean, a Test tour of India, back-to-back Ashes series, then to South Africa, then the World Cup, I mean, only 2 years away. I mean, it is dizzying to think about it, isn't it? I mean, when do you think you should have to make a decision, or when should any young man have to make a decision about specialising in one form of the game?
Oh, that's something I'm not even thinking about. I'm happy playing all 3 forms of the game at the moment. Obviously, Test is a pinnacle for me. You know, growing up as a kid, watching guys on TV with that baggy green cap, that was, you know, something I've dreamed of, and I've got that chance to do that now. So in terms of that decision not to play IPL, I think it was more for the chance to play as much cricket as I can for Australia, and I saw that 6-week period as a chance to refresh, to play as much of cricket for Australia in terms of Test cricket, but also there's 14 one-days between Ashes series. So there's a lot of cricket, like you said. I think as a young guy, staying mentally fresh, and you know, we're young enough, so we're going to be fit enough physically, and keeping your body right with the amount of cricket, doing your recovery and all that sort of thing to make sure you're in the best nick to be selected in any team.
How do you manage it temperamentally, moving from one form of the game to the other? Does your preparation mentally change from one form or the other?
Yeah, I guess we haven't had too much time to think about it between one-day series and the 2020 series. We had that a session today out at Homebush, and there were interesting wickets out there with sort of a white backdrop with a white ball. So the bowlers got a lot out.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Not sure the batsman got too much out of it, but yeah, I think that the shorter the format goes, I guess in 2020 cricket, as a bowler, you've only got 24 balls, so you've got to make sure your 24 balls are perfect, really, and at the same time not be predictable.
I mean, it's an astonishing thing, how quickly that it seems to have captured the imagination of the people. And I wonder about your mates perhaps outside cricket, you know, good mates, but, you know, not necessarily into cricket. When they talk to you, do they talk about the 5-day game, or do they talk about 2020?
Where I went to school was a big population of Indian and Sri Lankan students, so you know, not sure you can talk anything but cricket with them. So they're always into me if Australia have lost a game against India or Sri Lanka, so you cop a bit of flack that way. But yeah, it's I don't know. They always like to talk about cricket, so they're really on board with the 2020 game. Obviously, got the IPL, and I guess it's 3 hours of cricket instead of you know, for the more traditional people that like to watch Test cricket. You know, it's 5 days of cricket, whereas 2020 cricket, you bring your family out. It's nice and quick and entertaining. So for someone like myself, like I said, I love Test cricket, and that's the pinnacle for me. So it'll always be take the precedence over 2020 cricket.
I can assure you, there's a lot of people in this room who are very relaxed and pleased to hear someone aged 22 who's passionate about Test match cricket. Now, of course, the tweet of your apparent dissatisfaction about being left out of the Boxing Day Test. Now, do you have as many followers as Tendulkar? He's just a bit over 1 million.
I'm really close.
Yeah, I thought you'd be getting warm. Did you get into any strife over that, or did they let it go through to whoever was keeping at the time?
Is that a little dig there as well?
No, mate, just an observation.
No, I may have got a speaking to, but nothing too strenuous on. Look, yeah, it was a disappointment to miss out. But yeah, like I said before, it was more about a team, I guess, outlook and what did happen where guys did break down in the past going into a game, where we had in Hobart, obviously Ben came into the game and we lost him after the first innings. So I think, you know, obviously that initial disappointment, but you got to step back and look at, I guess, what's best for the team. And you don't want to ever have to be a bowler down in the Test match. In hindsight, obviously that Test only went for 3 days, but if I did play, I could have bowled 50 overs and broken down.
Yeah.
So hindsight's a nice thing, but yeah, it's around at the moment. So like I said, we've got to embrace it. And after that initial disappointment, it's obviously the best for the team, and Australia got the win. So that's the main thing.
I think a lot of people here would be interested tonight to know that Australia is being led tomorrow night by George Bailey. Now, a lot of people in this room are not familiar with George Bailey. Give us a bit of an insight into him as a cricketer and as a man and as a leader.
Look, we heard I heard the other day that his girlfriend doesn't like to be around him the day before a game because he's apparently quite grumpy. But but no, George is a lovely guy and knows his game well, knows the cricket game well. He's quite bright and intelligent, and so he's not a fast bowler. If you'd like to have a go at.
Don't be defensive.
No, but George is great. He's obviously done a great job for Tasmania, leading them on many occasions, and has had the chance to do it for the Australian team in one-day cricket as well as 2020 cricket. So I got the chance to play under him at the World Cup, just gone, and he was great to get the guys going, and I guess keep a cooler head under pressure than you know, some other guys maybe do.
Does he do much one-on-one stuff with the boys?
He actually does, yeah. from my experiences, he was really hands-on in terms of the bowlers in their bowling plans day before a game or day of the game. He'd invite you into his room and just go through some field settings or some plans to certain batsmen. He was always in on a bowlers meeting with the group, but he liked the fact that he could sit down with you one-on-one and see what you were thinking in approach to how to bowl to a batsman or which fields you wanted, and then ones he could suggest to you as well. So in hands-on, he was great for me as a bowler, having the captain there, really, I guess, sitting out there and working out the plan for you to certain batsmen.
Yeah, tremendous. Now, it's extraordinary. Only 11 players have passed 10,000 runs in Test cricket, and of course one of them is with us tonight, a very distinguished one. And you've had to confront 5 of them since you've come into Test cricket. I mean, it's an astonishing thing. You've played 7 Tests, and you've had to confront Tendulkar, Dravid, Kallis, Sangakkara and Jay Wardner. 5 of the 11 who've scored 10,000 plus, and you've had to confront. Tell us a bit about the experience of what it takes mentally for a fast bowler who's young to come up against 5 of the greatest batsmen in the history of the game.
They're pretty handy batsmen, aren't they?
They're pretty useful, isn't it? A few runs there.
Yeah. Lucky enough to bowl too much to Sanger. Yeah, look, I think it's more having the group around you. Obviously, Michael being the Test captain, he's an outstanding leader, and I haven't had the chance to play a heap of cricket with him, but he's always been there at my time with the Australian team as captain. So he I guess, instills a lot of confidence in the group. Obviously, he's had an outstanding 12 months and really leads us on the field in terms of his actions. But just, I guess, at the top of your mark before you bowl into someone like Sanger or Tendulkar, or, you know, you really feel, I guess, supported by your captain. And then you got the bowling attack that I've had the chance to bowl with. You got Peter Siddle, who runs in at 110% every ball for 5 days straight, and then you know, the rest of the attack, Ben Hilfenhaus has done it before, and they've all bowled against those guys before. So for a young guy like myself, I guess I take a lot out of knowing, I guess, their plans to those guys and how they've bowled to them in the past. And you know, having Sids there, the series just gone against Sri Lanka, especially in Hobart, when I guess it did get tight towards the end of day 5 and we needed some wickets. Having him to talk to and him coming up to me and just, I guess, keeping me level-headed and keeping my head at the job at hand was great for young guys to come through. I think all the bowlers, I know we're all fighting for 3 or 4 spots, generally 3 with the spinner, but we're all close mates on and off the field, and I think that just creates a great competition for the spots, but a great group outside of the game as well.
And respect for each other, obviously. In days gone by, Kumar's been known to say a bit out in the middle. Without being too provocative, he's been known to say a bit. He's never been, you know...
He's a wicketkeeper, isn't he?
Well, he was. He was, yes. It's, you know, it's part of the territory, isn't it? Nothing shocks you while you were opposed to him in Hobart?
No, I didn't hear too much out of Sanger, so I was lucky, I guess.
Oh, dear. Mate, just finally, the future. How do you balance it? I mean, you've already said at the start about the difficulties of going from one form of the game to the other, but tremendous time in your life. I mean, it must be an absolute buzz to be thinking of what lies ahead, and certainly back-to-back Ashes series.
Yeah, it's a long way ahead just yet, but yeah, look, I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of young guys in the Australian team at the moment. Obviously, we've seen a number of guys get a chance over the last couple of weeks with the one-day series, and with, I guess, the changing of a few of the more experienced players who've retired, it's I guess, created a lot of opportunities for guys who've done well in domestic cricket to come in, and guys that they're there at the moment, especially the young guys, to really, I guess, almost will try and cement a spot in the team and really make a name for themselves coming through. So, like you said, there's a lot of cricket at the moment. We've got another one-day series against the West Indies to deal with first, and then we're into the real cricket, Test cricket in India. So that's going to be a nice challenge again with 4 tests there. But then I'll look forward to a couple of weeks rest and back into some more Test cricket. So I'm happy playing as much cricket as I can, and every chance you get to play a game for Australia, it's a massive honour to represent your country and to try and win a game for Australia. You've got 11 guys out there trying to do the same thing, so it's great to be out there with your mates.
Well, it's been great to have you here tonight. Congratulations on what you've achieved so far. Best wishes tomorrow, which should be a big day and a big crowd out there. And happy birthday for next Wednesday. Ladies and gentlemen, Mitchell Starc.